The video is called Why the Crunch-ridden Anime Industry Rejects AI as a Lifeline. I'm interested in the subject. We have to be a little bit skeptical here because this video was posted by the South China Morning Post, and we all know that we should be careful about everything that's coming from official China media. Actually, I also wear the white t-shirt, the Chinese flag. Let's go.
It's an industry known for pushing animators to their limits.
係啊，你同日本一做嘢，我同所有 animator 都講話 Welcome to hell。
Long hours, tight deadlines, and low pay are common complaints for those working in the Japanese animation industry.
呢個亦都係一個好現實嘅行業咯。
For some, it's a labor of love.
62屆金马奖最佳动画片室外。
I think the relationship between Japan and China isn't the best. On the other hand, a lot of anime productions are already producing and outsourcing a lot of their work in China.
真係攞緊嗰個可以幫到自己生活過好啲嘅嗰個錢啊！
For others, the constant pressure is too much.
大量人入行嘅，亦都大量人離開嘅，因為真係個生活係搞唔掂。不過好多時啲錢唔係去咗動畫師身上面咯，完全係燃燒你嘅愛嘅。
Some companies are promising a high-tech solution.
Yeah, but that's almost the thing with all artistic, that it's so hard to get fair share and a fair pay for your passion and your love that you're putting in it. This comes also from the work mentality in Japan in general. The first episode of Zom 100 shows this in an extreme, but it's a pretty good depiction of how disruptful this whole Japanese work standard is as well. The character here in Zom 100 is at a production company. At the beginning, he was super motivated about his job, and this whole job drags him so much down, takes all of his energy, that at the end he has to sleep a lot in his company's building. And here we can see it, that he's already like a zombie. It really exaggerated everything. In this particular episode, he's the zombie, while at the end of the episode, everyone else is turning into a zombie, and he's one of the few people who are surviving. Here he gets his energy back, and everyone surrounding him is now zombified. And he actually has one of the best times of his life. I can really recommend this show, especially the first episodes are so funny, and it only has 12 episodes.
Artificial intelligence. But is AI a lifeline for struggling animators, or an anchor on artists already struggling to stay afloat?
呢一瞬間 AI 做出嚟嘅嘢好難實用去動漫入邊真係 product。
Especially the anime industry is also really known for being super skeptical about new technologies. It took so long for them to switch over to digital drawings, and I think quite a few of veteran animators are still animating mainly on paper, although most of younger animators are completely switched to digital drawings.
入邊咯，但係好多時動畫入邊畫嗰堆嘢咧，都係會有啲新嘅 idea、新嘅 design、新嘅設計出嚟㗎嘛。AI 佢只可以做。
Where was this guy coming from? He's an animation producer at JB Creative. Okay, that's actually the guy, right? It looks like they are a studio who gets hired for several shots in different anime. Like here we have Dandadan and also 100 meters. So they are probably doing second keys or in-betweening. Here we can see all of these timesheets. Ah, that's the McDonald's thing. I remember that one. Yeah, so I think this is really something like a sub-studio who gets hired for several shows.
會有啲新嘅 idea、新嘅 design、新嘅設計出嚟㗎嘛。AI 佢只可以做到以前有人做過嘅嘢，做翻出嚟更好地做俾你睇。
Yeah, that's actually what I also say all the time, that AI is not creating something new. I said this in the last video. If you haven't checked it out, please do it. That AI is only taking what is already established. So it cannot create something unique. For this, we still need human power.
Simon Wong is a Hong Kong-based animation producer at Yabi Creative. He's worked on big-name shows like Dan Da Dan and other projects by Studio Sunrise. For Wong, AI animation is unlikely to win over anime's passionate and very vocal fanbase.
粉絲唔中意 AI 嘅原因係有咗 AI 入嚟就個作品會唔會冇咗靈魂咯，失咗真咯，同埋唔好睇咗，千篇一律咁樣喺啲大公司去用啲 AI 會唔會攞啲嘢呃我㗎？到時會有呢個心態。
So that's the good thing here, that they are talking with a creative person who also sees the same things. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people who don't care if it's made by a human or not, but you can clearly see the intensity. He describes it as a soul behind every drawing, behind every frame, because AI cannot do this. AI is just calculating and not thinking about something.
Anime studios have already tried to incorporate AI art into their workflows, but the reaction from fans has been less than positive.
Of course, they added it into the workflow, but I'm interested in how much it is already involved.
But the reaction from fans has
Investment in Preferred Networks Incorporated. We have invested in Preferred Networks Incorporated, a company with cutting-edge AI technologies. With an eye on launching a joint venture, we will seek to co-develop new business opportunities and improve the efficiency and quality of our production, capitalizing on synergies between AI and animation production technologies. This is from Toei, animation production technologies and AI technologies. So from Toei side, they are a leading animation production, abundant data and in-house creators, and ample cash flow. Okay, and Preferred Networks is AI company, top-level AI technology competence in Japan, development of proprietary AI models and dedicated hardware, track record of tie-ups with major companies, apply AI to various processes of animation productions. And there are quite a few studios that already did put out complete AI generated videos. I think it started like 3 years ago. There was this one video, I think with a dog or a robot, I'm not 100% sure anymore, which looks pretty outdated right now. So the different use cases are already here explained. Like for storyboarding use cases, AI used to generate simple layouts and shooting of a storyboard. But then you simply get like super boring, uninspired storyboards out of it. Or always the same thing. Taking for example, Jujutsu Kaisen right now has such an interesting art direction because Goshizono, the director of the third Jujutsu Kaisen season, and this guy is crazy in storyboards. So he made a lot of the storyboards by himself. Like I think the first, 7 episodes were completely storyboarded by him. In almost every shot, something interesting is happening because he's choosing so different angles. Like here, for example, this is a pretty interesting shot. Not having like simple shots and reverse shots, but also having a nice foreground here, especially with the bottles being here in the blur here as well. Another bottle who is framing the whole picture. And I'm sure that AI is not capable of having such a creative direction. This is a pretty cool shot. Do you really think AI could think about something like that? This whole atmosphere here is so unique because you barely see the face of this guy, but we directly get a sense of his character only by the relationship what we can see in this picture here alone. Here we have the bottle of liquor in a pretty interesting angle. This is something like a fish eye. We still don't see his face. We only see a bit of his body. We also see in the foreground all of his empty beer cans. What is probably most important after the clarification that he is drinking a lot of alcohol. Here we have this woman where he has his hand at her butt. So we have an instinct relationship between these characters and we understand it directly just because of this shot. Of course, this shot is also since it's like super close, it's showing us this intimacy between these two characters and the hierarchy between them. Such an interesting shot composition. Here again, only his foot with a little bit of movement. We see all of these chips lying around. This is super messy, also with the chocolate bar and more liquor. This is probably a whiskey. Just by these shots, we clearly get a vision of this one character. I'm watching quite a few of AI videos over the last couple of days. AI always only shows us things without knowing what it actually shows and what is the meaning behind it. Here we have a distinctive meaning behind it. Let's continue. Coloring and color specification. AI used to specify colors and automatically correct colors. Of course, the autofill-ins are making everything way more easier, but I don't see a real point into using AI for that. In between use cases, AI used to automatically correct line drawings and generate in between. But I don't think AI is there already. We see this all the time, that AI still has this artifact and this strange frames where the character's face, for example, the eyes are moving from one point to another. It still is not at 100%. And the question is it more effective than humans? Because humans are also doing little mistakes. We see this all the time in animation. I think we can also see it in my animations, that there are sometimes some little inconsistencies that make the picture a little bit wobbly or not 100% perfect. But a human thinks about a line, while the AI doesn't think about it. Backgrounds, more about converting photos, so real-life photos, to an anime background. I don't know how often they already use filters from real photos to put it fast into an animation background. Because we see it right now in my own project. Backgrounds drawing, especially with movement in it, takes quite some time and also some accuracy.
Been less than positive.
英語で作品怪我すなよ。それは利用じゃなく悪用だわ。恐れていた実態。
In May 2025, Toei Animation, a pioneering studio known for creating the long-running anime series One Piece, faced backlash when it announced it would incorporate AI into production workflows. And in January 2026, Cygames, the firm behind the hit series Uma Musume, found similar backlash after establishing a research AI studio.
Also, the thing is with Cygames pictures, I think they only produced the first season, because the second and third season were mainly produced in Studio Kai, if I remember that correctly.
Even the slightest hint of AI use has...
Really, you are taking Chibi Reviews video out of it? To their defense, I also watched that one.
Uma Musume found similar backlash after establishing a research AI studio. Even the slight...
Yeah, okay, this is the whole One Punch Man situation, which was pretty crazy on his channel, so he made it every little hint of a production mistake in the One Punch Man Season 3 was directly on Twitter big on, oh, they are now using AI and AI is making these mistakes. At the end, I think all of them were human-made, even the one where this character had 3 breasts.
This hint of AI use has prompted fans to obsessively analyze individual frames.
Yeah, this really is all of these things from One Punch Man Season 3. And also we had a similar thing going on with the Sekiro anime, where the first trailer looked a little bit rough and maybe some people didn't like the art style, and directly they said there's AI involved. But I think this is also an obsession of always rejecting everything directly without looking at completely. And for these frames, where here you can clearly see this is a thing that is happening because they don't have enough of time. And maybe there was the idea of having a still frame at the beginning, and then they later switched it to a little camera track. And then they didn't have this material drawn. And what do you do then? You simply put black on top of it and hope that no one is seeing it.
Looking for telltale signs of AI art. Those who work in the industry, like animation director Nick Ho, understand the backlash against AI.
即係始終動畫呢樣嘢係好人性嘅一個藝術嘅一個媒介嚟。我哋見到嘅每一張畫啦，其實都係動畫師即係一血一汗咁樣去畫出嚟㗎嘛。咁但係當加入咗 AI 之後，就會有一個感覺，就好似否定緊動畫師嘅一啲努力啊咁樣樣。
Yet, as a medium, anime has reached previously unheard of levels of popularity. The Japanese
And it's growing, right? Especially since 2020, since the pandemic. Shows like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen really pushed this whole anime popularity forward more into the mainstream as well.
anime industry has grown 250% since 2002. Today, it's worth a whopping 3.8 trillion yen. Growing from just around 200 TV series and film releases in 2002, the industry now cranks out about 400 titles a year. That's up from some 95,000 minutes of anime produced in 2002 to 130,000 minutes a year today. The surge seems to be taking a toll on the limited number of animators. A recent survey by the Nippon Anime and Film Culture Association found that the median number of monthly working hours for Japanese animators was 225, or around 10 hours per workday. Some employees on the more extreme end of the spectrum reported working 336 hours per month.
And there's also Senchu, who has this whole disruptive work style as one of their main reasons to get the animator dialed and isekai into a complete different world. That's actually pretty funny that they already used this as a subject in an anime, where probably people were also crunching quite a lot.
Yet the average hourly rate was just around 700 yen, and a median of 1,111 yen, since most studios pay animators per frame, not by the hour. At a time when many in Japan are worried about a weakening yen and rising inflation, pay rates that low make it hard to find new talent.
不足していると思います。海外に外注っていう形で出すようになってきてるんですね。動画は安くて賃金が安く仕事もきつくなんとなく地位も低い。
A report by the Japan Research Institute estimates that the industry needs 30,000 animators to hit market projections and goals for 2030. That's 5 times the number of people currently working in the industry in Japan. And for those
Holy shit.
already in the anime industry, rising demand and shrinking studios have
The percentage of creators who believe generative AI poses a significant threat to their livelihood are 88%. That is fucking crazy. It really is that every artist has this fear that AI is taking over the job. I hope that it's not happening. I really hope that it's not happening.
raised fears about AI coming for their jobs.
結果的にですね、今生成 AI の影響で、クリエイター、特に絵を描く人のですね、心理的安全性が非常に崩れているというところを表しています。
Actually, it should be the responsibility of the companies to guarantee that the jobs are safe and that AI will not replace the job in animation. We can all see how much passion there is, whether it's the consumer side or the animation side. The only problem I see here are the companies behind it who want to make money. All of this is on the back of the animators.
絵を描く人はですね、非常に貴重なコンテンツ産業の戦略人材ですので、勞働政策的にもですね、働く環境の整備をしてほしいという點。
因為始終而家係一個 gimmick 啊，但係呢件事持續到幾耐係，我覺得係冇得同動漫呢個載體去鬥。
But AI isn't the first technology to raise concerns in the anime industry.
Okay, that's good that they are taking the opportunity to talk about the use of CGI in animation.
When 3D animation promised to make animation less labor-intensive, fans and animators at first rejected it as fake.
Okay. Now we are getting the Giga reaction. Okay, that's good. That's funny. This is the X-Arm Gigak reaction. That one is so funny.
What is this? They are so unbelievably awful that I can't help but be impressed by the ineptitude.
Yet the style, which uses cell shading to render 3D models in the style of 2D animation, has now become commonplace.
當佢 mix 得同本身 2D 相差得好大嘅時候，就會引起人反感。佢技術上未夠成熟咯，譬如買高咁樣，佢全套係 3D 嘅 ，B Star 都係 3D 嘅，啲人睇得好過癮嘅，完全唔覺得有違和感嘅，唔好驚佢或者抗拒佢。我哋自己修改咗之後，係可以做到一個好 touching 嘅嘢出嚟嗰時，可能人類有對佢改觀嘅。
He says it already that most of the time it was the things that are looking bad that people are getting upset and more cautious about 3D animation in 2D animation. Of course, right now we are having the same thing that when we can see that it's AI, we are getting upset. But when we don't see it, then we will probably don't notice it as well. There are probably a few dark numbers already where AI is used to a certain extent in animation and we all don't know about it. At the end of the day, he also says that it's about the touching stories, the stories that make us feel something. I'm just repeating my point here. AI cannot create touching stories.
我哋自己修改咗之後，係可以做到一個好 touching 嘅嘢出嚟嗰時，可能人類有對佢改觀嘅。
But most remain skeptical about AI usage being a long-term success.
The transition to 3D getting more recognized and more appreciated, I think largely comes from like the art form being mastered. Whereas with AI, it's not an art form being mastered. The problem with AI isn't that it looks bad. It's a shortcut to something that you respect because of the amount of artistry, work, and talent put into it. So
this guy brings it on the point.
Imagine that falling prey to commodification and shareholders trying to get the next show out quicker to make more money. That's just really depressing.
The problem for many is that AI anime takes the artist out of the artistic process.
睇開動漫，你知道會嗰啲好睇嘅點係人為畫出嚟嘅，嗰啲細節嘢其實好多係人諗出嚟嘅。AI 可能有陣時佢可能還原到某啲表面嘅嘢，但係嗰個細節位咧佢冇串連埋一齊，我覺得就會有少少唔自然咯。
Then there are ethical concerns about AI models being trained on the work of real-life artists without their consent. AI models like OpenAI's Sora went viral for mimicking the iconic
this is the video I was talking about earlier with the dog. Yeah.
Style of Studio Ghibli. The response from the storied anime studio was less than welcoming. The Japanese government, responding to complaints issued by Ghibli and other anime studios,
that was such a wild time for 1 month or 2 weeks, where the whole internet was flooded with these AI Ghibli-style generated videos. That was so bad. That was so annoying. Like every post that I saw was this fake Ghibli-style AI art. And it looked all the same because they all had this grain on it, which looks like Princess Mononoke's DVD release. It was all the same thing. And that's why a lot of people are just talking about AI slop. We did get so flooded of it.
Submitted a cease and desist letter to OpenAI, urging the company to stop training its models on copyrighted work. Whether it will work is yet to be seen. AI companies have largely been able to get away with ingesting vast amounts of copyrighted work without legal consequences.
即係你好似對住一片海洋大叫咁樣咯，你嘅 content 已經出咗 public network 上邊咧，人哋點做咧，你係控制唔到嘅。即係你可以表達你嘅訴求啊，但係嗰片海洋會唔會回應你係只可以好樂觀地去諗咯。
Some animators still see potential value in the future use of AI, such as for connecting frames in anime.
始終 AI 係我覺得真係冇創作嘅，佢只不過係喺個大海入邊喺度抄所有嘢啫嘛。但係創作嘅始終都係人去創作，大家合作出嚟表現咗出嚟，會有好多情感走咗出嚟。咁你會見到會受到佢影響，有感動咁樣啊，可以善用佢嘅嚇。我唔討厭佢嘅。
除咗
I think it's important to keep on track what is going on to stay competitive.
方面，我哋驚佢哋係取代咗我哋嘅職位之外，會唔會其實佢會令到可以加快到我哋嗰個生產嘅流程？喺某一啲部分，我哋可以慳到一啲資源，係可以俾翻動畫師嘅咧。即係我覺得都可以朝呢個方向去諗。
But he's already talking about how to save money. Isn't this a little bit of a contradiction here?
喺某一啲
to save on resources in some capacity
部分係可以俾翻
while giving more to animators. So of course animators have to be paid way better for especially the work they are doing. 100%. The thing is, for that, they simply need more money, right? Or is it just me thinking really shortly?
畫師嘅咧，即係我覺得都可以朝呢個方向去諗。
I think they pretty much reflected some really good points here, especially in the use of AI and that it is not replacing humans. I think that is super important. We are looking into a really cloudy future here.